Well, welcome back to this episode of After Hours Ag. With us today is another special guest, Brian Sonne. He works here. We're actually at the Dakota Fest Farm Show. I'm sure you've been listening to a few of these now. Brian Sonne is Cole Sonne's dad. He plays the father on the YouTube channel.
Yep, my claim to fame.
Claim to fame, yes.
Yep.
No, we're actually going to talk a little more about actual claim to fames before the YouTube and where did things start. So Brian, why don't you start out telling us a little bit about yourself?
The history of the farm and then where I fit into it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead and get started there.
All right. Well, that sounds good. So my grandfather came here at 11 years old, landed in Ellis Island. He was from Denmark originally. There's an island there called Bornholm. There was very few opportunities for farmers there, so he and 3 of his brothers came across, and back then you had to have a sponsor family in order to stay here, and that was the Jensens, who were gracious enough to take those boys in. And right now I farm about 4 miles away from that family farm where they raised him. And then my dad farmed, and I took over, I guess. Well, I've got 2 other brothers that farm as well. And then Cole's back in the last 5 years helping me after he graduated college. So
Wow.
We haven't got very far in life. I think I got 4 miles. But, I'm achieving for greatness later on. I think the nursing home's another 15 miles. So I will be extending to 19 miles from where I grew up.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, broadening your horizons.
And Cole is constantly threatening to put me in that nursing home, too, by the way.
You don't behave.
Yeah. Carrot or the stick. We were talking about that when we came on.
Yep.
So you said your grandfather came over when he was 11.
Yeah.
And there were 3 other brothers, right?
Yes.
Four total brothers.
Yep.
Where did your grandfather fit in that?
He was the second youngest of the 4.
Second youngest, okay.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
And did they come over without their parents?
Correct. And
wow.
he never saw his mother again.
Oh, wow.
No, came over at 11. I think his oldest brother might have been close to 20, and but an aunt came along, and she kind of watched out for him. But yeah, the only time he went back is when he signed up for World War I to help defend, his country where he grew up. And then he got injured and came back home, and he got shrapnel in his leg and his arm.
So he deployed over there then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Except back then,
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't as nice a word as deployed back then.
Right.
But he actually volunteered for it. And so his job in World War I was to haul food to the frontline guys with 4 mules and a wagon. And one day a bomb hit and killed all 4 mules. And he got shrapnel. And because he was injured, I guess he got to go home and he survived it. So otherwise we wouldn't be here because he hadn't even married yet at the time. So here we are, bothering you guys.
Did any of his other brothers serve in the war as well?
Oh, I think Peter did, but the other 2 did not. Yeah.
Okay.
2 of the 4.
Yeah, so they came over and they lived with the Jensens, you said? Mm-hmm. How long did they live with them before they kind of got to? You said there was a sponsorship. I don't know. I don't know as much about the immigration side of things, and it's always interesting to hear.
Well, it just basically meant that you let all these people come from these other countries, but you have to have permission from a family that they're going to provide for you. I guess they didn't want a bunch of freeloaders like Cole. He's unemployed. Yeah. So there are certain things that carry on through generations, and that's one of them in his case. So.
You get to pick your friends, but not your relatives, huh?
Man, I'll tell you.
Yep. So anyway, that's interesting. I think it's very similar in. I know there's some I think it's the refugees. They're in West Fargo anyway. I'm trying to think of the people group, but yeah, they all have. Basically, when they come in as refugees anyway, they come in and they get placed with communities of similar origin.
Yeah, and I think Tom Petty sang about them.
Which song is that?
Little Like a Refugee.
Oh. Yep.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Petty.
Did you already know that?
I knew Petty.
Yeah. Well, I know Tom Petty, of course. I just was not Not thinking about
Well,
the sun.
Living like a refugee or a little like a refugee, something like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Go Petty. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, how did they come about? So you're the third generation farmer, or you are a third generation farmer, and you're on the same farm that your grandfather bought. Okay.
My younger brother Jeff is actually there.
Okay.
And so my grandpa bought that quarter, and my dad was actually born on that farm in the house. And then my grandpa bought a different farm that was, well, he was, I guess, growing, but it had a nicer house, and they moved down the road about 3 miles, but they kept ownership of that. And then when my dad got back from the Army, that house wasn't livable. He actually moved another one in from over by Letcher, which is about 10 miles away. And so I grew up there, and that's about 3 miles from where I farm now.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So stayed pretty much in the area.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't get out much.
I was actually going to ask you. You've been talking about getting out much, and you talked about Ellis Island. Have you ever gotten to go?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've never been to the East Coast.
Okay.
No. I've been to Storla a couple times. It's 5 miles down the road. Population 13.
That's east, right?
I know the directions, and there's no stoplights, so I do pretty good there. But that's about as far as I get. Yeah.
You ever have an aspiration to travel, though?
Actually, in 10 days, my wife and I are going to Niagara Falls.
Wow.
Well, how about that?
We like to fit a little vacation in before we do the harvest thing. Last year, where'd we go? This spring, we went to Clearwater, Florida. We've been to San Diego and Nashville in the last 2-3 years. So
all right.
We're getting out there. Now that he's back from college, I can get away once in a while because we have livestock, so you just can't leave.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take advantage of it. Yep.
Yeah, I heard, you can, I don't know if you can anymore, but you could have ridden a little barrel down the Niagara Falls. I bet that'd be fun.
I'm actually looking into that.
Yeah, good.
Especially,
I think they have a couple's discount, too.
okay.
So,
yeah,
look into that.
she won't get in a barrel with me. She'll gladly put me in a barrel. Yeah.
Oh boy.
What
All
else
right.
you got?
So, all right. So when your grandfather started farming, what were the things he was raising?
Yep. So it's corn and oats.
Okay.
And I didn't know what a soybean looked like until I was in my early 20s, actually. And some guys from Iowa came up and tried it, and they ran 7 bushel an acre, and they left again because it should have never been broke, that ground. But here we are in the pothole region. But corn and oats rotation, a little wheat, and then now we're mostly corn and soybeans.
Okay. And did they have cattle then? Did he start out with cattle?
Yes.
And what breed did he have?
I think just kind of a mixture of beef cattle, but predominantly black Angus.
Okay.
But in '97, I bought a purebred herd, and I sell bulls.
Okay.
Private treaty. Yeah.
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 And so did the.
There's a lot more to me than you think.
We just got to chip the layers here.
Oh yeah.
Just give us some time, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so your grandfather had just primarily a beef cow herd.
Hogs too.
Hogs too.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the dirt lots and the chickens.
And do you still have any hogs?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
When did you guys get out of hogs?
When hogs hit $8, and then about a year and a half later went back down to $6 or $8, I thought that's a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to do that anymore.
About what year was that?
Oh, I was married. Mid-90s, I suppose.
Mid-90s. Okay,
Yeah.
so Cole never experienced the hogs then.
No, he don't even know how to feed a puppy hardly.
That thing's growing, though.
He actually takes good care of those dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So you've had any other? Have you had any other kind of random things on your farm that would be really you tried
Funny story.
tried some things out?
Well, not for financial reasons, but when I remember when my wife and I were dating, she came out to the farm and we went for a walk, and we probably held hands even back then. I don't know.
Whoa!
But
Watch
anyway,
out.
she looked behind and there was the dog, and then 2 cats, and then the 20 ducks and geese. They were all following us in a line, And I think that's what she thought I was a nice person.
That's what sold her on you?
Absolutely, yeah.
I've heard that. I had a person I was interviewing one time, and they said, the reason I went to this grad school was because the guy had a dog in his office, and I figured if a dog could like this guy, so could I.
But I got to tell you one thing, the difference between a dog and a wife, though.
Okay.
If you lock your dog in a trunk, when you open it up, they're happy to see you.
Wow, I hope that's not from experience, you never know.
I just got engaged, so I think that's some good advice for me, would you say?
Yeah.
All right.
Just tell her she's on a slippery slope if she starts being mean to you, because the dog will always love you, so, yeah.
I want to talk about, did you go to college? Or was college not kind of the scene for Brian?
I guess I did.
School of hard knocks?
Yeah, no. Nowadays, Votech is considered college. When I was growing up, it was just Votech. That's not college. But anyway, I did go to Votech. I learned how to be a hydraulic mechanic, and I actually worked in Burnsville, Minnesota for about 1.5 years before spring field work came, and Dad said I could come back, thank God. And I moved back and been farming ever since April of 1982. And the first thing I did when I got home in April of 82, I got a phone call. There was a quarter of ground for sale, and I bought it. And at 19 years of age, I was a landowner.
All right.
I've been hitting it hard ever since.
That's awesome.
I added some more land here about 3-4 years ago. Texted my sister and said I bought some more land, and she's like, jeepers. And then I told her it was a grave plot, but it's the same.
Just planning for the future.
Still tillable acres with some rocks.
I actually laid down and had my wife take a picture of me on my plot.
You got to visualize it. You know?
You got to visualize. You got to have a rough side.
She visualized it, and then she asked for like to have a hard copy of that.
Yeah. So you got done with high school. You went to Votech. You got hydraulic.
Yep.
A degree in hydraulic mechanics.
Yep.
Being a hydraulic mechanic. Yep. At that point, were you thinking, when you lived in Minneapolis, were you thinking, at least when you started, this is what I'm going to do for a while?
Heavens, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I tell you, I told my dad I wanted to come back and farm, and he said no. He said, if you come right back to the farm, I didn't even want to go to Votech. He said, you'll always wonder if you did the right thing or not, so go on, get out of here for a while. And so I'm sure I kept asking him, have I been gone long enough? Because I just wanted to come back. And so as soon as he's, like I said, spring field work rolled around, he figured I can put that monkey in a tractor and get something done. So then I came back, and that's since April of 82. So,
yeah,
I've got that ground that I bought when I was 19. I've actually planted that 43 years now, which is crazy because I don't feel like...
You don't feel like you've been doing it that long?
At least not when I'm sitting down. When I stand up, then it's like, yeah, I get that. It's been a long time. But.
So you would say that you never wanted to do anything else. You were happy to come back home.
Absolutely. And he's the same way. I mean, when we have 3 sons, and he's the youngest one, and it never failed. If I was working on something and needed a hand, or if cattle got out, I'd be like, boy, I really need some help. And I'd look around, and guess who was standing right over my shoulder? You can't teach that. It's either in you or it isn't. Mm-hmm. And he loves agriculture like I used to before I got kind of old and tired of it. But yeah, I can't tell you how happy I am to know that he is going to be taking on our family farm after I'm done.
Yeah.
And he's actually trying to take it over right now before I'm still here.
Before you're not quite done.
Yeah, well, he's thinking I'm slipping a little bit probably. So. Yeah.
He's checking on those nursing homes a little sooner.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I bet he's trying to get you the most amenities, I bet.
Well,
right?
He just told me the other day that he is not changing one of my diapers, so I'm got to go somewhere.
You do. You got to go where you're wanted.
Yep.
Okay, so what do you, looking back on that now, do you think that your dad having you do that, was that good, or do you think that was like, well, I knew I was coming back, and there really wasn't looking back, there was really no reason for me to go do that?
I think That's true. I was coming back, and there was no reason to do it, but it took every shadow of a doubt out of the equation, because the first thing I did when I went up to Minneapolis was I hung out at a beach on a weekend and got approached if I wanted to buy some drugs, and a 18-year-old kid from a farm in South Dakota, I knew right then that I was not where I should be, because it scared me to death, and it shouldn't have. If you'd have been around it, you'd think no big deal, but I'd never heard anything like that in my life. So yeah, it helped me. I'm glad he made me do it. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And so, did you follow through with the same type of advice for your kids?
You know, my wife and I both believed in higher education, and all three of our sons went to SDSU to college, and very happy that they did. And we just really felt like that was something that they should do. Mm-hmm. And then after 4 years of that and kind of getting that out of their system, then I didn't care if they went work somewhere else or back at the farm, you know.
Yeah.
But they still got away for a while. So.
Yeah. So when Cole was looking at going to college, and you kind of knew that he was the guy who was going to want to come back. It was in him.
Yeah.
Did you push him towards a certain major? Did you say, hey, this would be really good, this would complement you?
Well, interesting enough, and we've never talked about this, he just wanted to go to Mitchell Tech and just do a short ag class or something like that. And my wife and I, that is a very good program. The whole tech in Mitchell is outstanding, but we kind of had our heart set on him having a 4-year degree. Yeah, right or wrong, VOTEC is great if you want to get done with school and go get to work, but I've got nothing against it. We had our goals, our dreams, and he was fine with it. He took agronomy, and that really helps on the farm too. So
so you said you should go get a 4-year degree, but you didn't necessarily push him towards one major or another at that point?
No, I just kind of mentioned that agronomy would be a nice fit, but if it would have been animal husbandry or any of that, and by the way, that doesn't mean you're going to marry a cow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
I was wondering there.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Questions are good.
Good.
They are good.
Good.
Yep. Okay, so one question I always ask our guests, especially the farmers, if you had somebody who was 18, 19 years old, they're thinking, I'd like to get into farming here. It seems like your advice would be, hey, get off the farm for a little bit, try something else, and then come back if you can. What major or what kind of things would you push them? Would you tell them, hey, go try this, go do this? What kind of advice would you give them?
Things have changed a lot over the years. It used to be, either the crop side or the livestock, but now with technology, auto steer, all these things, I mean, that to me is a wonderful area to get into. And, there's so many opportunities there if the farming doesn't happen or doesn't work out. I got to be honest with you, the farm economy right now going forward doesn't look real good. Mm-hmm. So you can get on pretty easily getting hired for that type of thing. And agronomy too, there's a high demand for kids getting into that. So those would probably be my two main things. And livestock's a little less popular now than it used to be. A lot of guys don't want to have that commitment, but we do that, and we're very happy to be diversified, especially right now when the bright spot is the livestock. So,
right. Cattle prices are up, but grain prices are down. Yeah. One thing I was talking to a guy out here earlier about, and you kind of started touching on it as Cole has been coming back here. We were talking about his dad is 75. I want to say he's like 37. He's coming into the farm. His dad's kind of slowly working his way out. Mm-hmm. Decision making has been, he's gradually transferred over the decision making to the point now. This guy's 75, where basically the decision he's out there every day helping and working, but he's turned over all control of decision making to his kids. He has 4 kids that are working at his farm. Mm-hmm. How has that transition gone for you guys with decision making, and has it been easy to let Cole start to make some of those decisions, or has it been difficult to give those things off?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think about back when my dad was my age, and he just, of course, I had a brother 4 years older, and we both farmed, and we just kind of took over the decisions, and he was fine with it. He loved that.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more of a control type person. It's been a little bit harder for me at times, but there's times where I'm very interested in hearing his point of view, and there's other times where I've got my mind made up that, no, this is the way we're going to do it. So that's a balancing act, but I think we handle it pretty well most of the time. And the cool thing is our goals are the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end of the day, we still want to get this done. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, but we've both got this strong desire to improve our farm. So I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah, I mean, when you both want the best for it, you're both working hard for it. It's just he thinks that the best way to get there is one way, and you might think of the best way to get there is the other way.
It's really interesting because, you know, I've basically done the same thing for many, many years, and now there's a different point of view. So I really have to focus to consider it. You know? And he's sharper than me, so I can tell him what I'm thinking, and he can balance that, and well, that makes sense too, or whatever. But yeah.
What do you think as far as a climate amongst lots of farmers? There's plenty of farmers. We keep hearing the average age of the farmers getting up there, and and there, you know, there are a decent amount of them that are turning them back over to their sons, to their daughters. Mm-hmm. How do you feel like that decision making as a group of farmers? How do you feel like that is? How do you feel like that is going? Do you feel like that people that are in, you know, your age range, maybe getting a little bit older, do you think that they're having an easier time kind of turning over the reins, or do you think it's been more difficult than the last generation?
You know, it depends on the personality of the old guy, because, you know, so many of them aren't good at letting people know, you know, how they feel about things. You're supposed to be able to read their mind.
Yeah, right.
I feel his frustration sometimes with that. And so an open dialogue is the best way to handle that, whether, you know, everybody's goals are different and how we're going to transition this. I talked to some guys that they rent their ground to their son, but they sell the machinery to them on payments. There's others that give them the equipment, and, you know, at the end of the day, they need to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not, they're going to tank this thing that I've worked so long for. So I want to make sure that I'm giving them a good start.
Yeah.
And as far as him being a feeling of entitlement or anything, I don't worry about that, because I know how, you know, invested he is in this operation, that he's not just here to, you know, the day after I quit, line it up and go to the Bahamas or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that fear. So just an open dialogue with, you know, and dealing with different personalities on the farm. But as the older generation sometimes has a hard time, you know, letting them know what their feelings are and everything. So
yeah, I think that was very clear in my discussion with that other farmer, where he was saying, one thing that they would do is they would always make sure they sit down for a meal together. Mm-hmm. You know, even if it's just 15 minutes to sit down and discuss.
Like Blue Bloods do every Sunday night, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you sit down. You're all working for the same goal.
I would go along with that if he cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Well, if you made him cook, what would he cook?
Oh, he can cook anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a good cook. All three of my boys can cook. Mostly because my wife worked, and I'd walk in the house at noon, and I was hoping something would be ready, and yeah, they had to learn. So yeah.
I would say my specialty is definitely the grill, and my wife will do a lot of the cooking. I certainly can cook. I mean, we had twins, and when we had twins, if I didn't make it home from work, supper wasn't getting on the table. You know.
I hear you. It makes life busy.
It does make life busy. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard, but Cole's going to be a first-time dad about January 1st. So.
Really?
Right.
I did not hear that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And now, is this going to be your first grandchild?
No, it'll be my 6th.
Your 6th grandchild.
All right.
Yep.
So you're a seasoned grandpa.
Yeah,
man.
so we've got a starting 5 now.
Nice.
And, we're going to move on.
And going to have a sub.
Yeah, well, either that or get another starting 5, and then they can play against each
Yes.
other.
Yeah, that's a good
Yes.
idea.
Yeah, but they're wonderful.
Yeah. Going back a little bit, we're talking basketball there. What did you play any sports in high school? What'd you play?
Football and basketball.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, did you play in the Corn Palace?
That I have to know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
We-
the Heron Arena, you know.
We went in there last night, and I was telling these guys, I'm like, imagine a state championship in the Corn Palace.
Do they ever have a state championship there?
So it's been about 15 years since they did, and it was Class A girls, which nothing against Class A girls, but it seems to be a little bit smaller crowd,
Okay.
and they had it there. But I'll tell you where a wonderful place for a state tournament is right here in Huron. That is the coolest place. It's kind of your old rustic type.
Oh, yeah.
And the atmosphere and the crowd is, right.
Like right on them?
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. It's a wonderful place for a state tournament. They just don't have the seating, for the big tournaments. But pretty hard to beat Northern State for the Class B boys. That's a real deal there.
Yeah. So in South Dakota for basketball anyway, is it Class A, Class B? Or are there
And
more?
double A.
And double A.
Yep.
Double A,
That's
and B.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that what we see in North Dakota anyway, we just went back to a 3-class system.
Okay.
We used to just have A and B for the longest
Yeah,
time, probably
that's
since like the early 60s until last year, was
Yep,
it?
yep.
Now we brought back the C. Now we're ABC, but it used to just be A and B. But yeah, the B tournament, that was the B boys. That was the granddaddy of them all. Like the whole town's shut down. Everybody is packed in there. Like you have to have it at the biggest arenas in North Dakota. But yeah, you're right. Those bigger towns, you get the Class A state tournament for the first night or two. It's like, you can hear crickets.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Maybe not quite crickets, but you know what I mean.
Sessions can get pretty quiet.
Yeah.
But back in my day, what else was a kid gonna do? Drive their car on Main and then go to a basketball game. Nowadays, there's so many other distractions. So, high school sports is not as important to everyone as it used to be. I get that, but yeah, Cole actually played in the state basketball tournament when he was a junior. Yeah, so and then Cole and my middle son Jake both actually played in state baseball tournaments a couple times, and Jake's team actually got to the state championship. So
what positions did they play when they were playing together?
all of my boys were third basemen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
They could gun it.
Good spot.
And they stood there. And just they didn't.
The hot corner.
They didn't
The hot
flinch.
corner.
Yep, the
Didn't
hot corner.
flinch. And it's actually something that they learned from me when I played softball after I got out. I played third base, but I always came early, and I took the third base dugout.
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
And the reason I did that is because 12 steps and I was
That's
in
me.
my
I was
position.
a first baseman, and I'm
so
trying
you
to
took
get
the other dugout.
Yep.
Exactly.
In softball, I still play some. I always try to take the third base dugout. Not necessarily. I do play third a decent amount, a lot of shortstop. But the reason I take the third base dugout is so we always have a third base coach. Because I want to know when I round second and I'm coming third, am I going home or am I not?
So
and
you
if
just
you don't
have 15 guys yelling at you what
that's
to do.
exactly, at least you have somebody who will walk out there and then he can still visit in the dugout. If you take the first base dugout,
nobody wants
every other inning, nobody's out there. I'm like,
I hear you.
If I'm hitting triples, I want to know if I'm going home or not, right?
I can't speak for Brian, but I know mine was a lazy factor there. A couple
absolutely.
steps.
And it was like kegger league or beer league, so even more reason to not
Even
spend
if you shuffled out there, it's just a couple shuffles.
That's
I could
right.
roll out there, still grounder and throw from my knees.
Yep.
Here's something I want to know, Brian. When Cole came to you and said, what was the first conversation about, hey, let's do this YouTube thing?
Oh, it wasn't that way. It was just more walking around with the camera. Actually, I think the very first video was a tornado that hit our farm in 2015, June 25th of 15. And he just started, walking around, no talk. And then after a while, he started, where am I going to put these videos that I'm making? And put them on YouTube because there's a lot of storage there, I think.
Yeah.
Then people started watching them. It was crazy. And I can remember when we got like 2,600 subscribers, I thought we were a big deal. You know, it's like Crustbuster came out and we did a little video with them and we got 2,600 subscribers. And I just looked the other day and he's at 290,000 now.
Yeah.
And I've got absolutely nothing to do with it.
I would argue that. I would argue no.
Disagree.
The only way my life has changed is when I walk out in the morning, I get a camera stuck in my face. Otherwise, I just do what I do,
Yeah.
Except some of he's got to delete it, of course.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I am
Can't
62.
say that. Yeah.
And, I got to go to the bathroom once in a while.
Yep.
He's sticking the camera. Just
getting live action shots here. Oh, boy.
No. Hope not.
Well, something that I learned from watching a lot of Sonne videos is you're a big music fan.
I am.
So when did that kind of start? Does that started right away,
It's just that, when I growing up, and at 10 years of age, I was cultivating corn, and the radio was right in I listened to the radio all the time, and I hear these songs over and over again, and some summers, I'm a country music fan, but I always go back to rock and roll. And I don't know, I'm the type of person that absorbs information. And so I remember, I can remember a time in high school that riding down the road with a friend of mine, I said, any song that comes up, I can tell you who the singer is, and I've always just kind of been that way. Gather as much useless knowledge as I possibly can without learning anything that's got any value to it. Yeah.
No, it sounds to me like you are an audible learner. So in school and stuff, I'm guessing you picked up most things from class, and then you didn't study.
No.
Yeah.
No. And
that's me too.
Yeah.
Like that's who I was. I would never, especially in high school. I mean, you'd never study in high school, but I would do pretty well because you'd hear it and it'd stick.
Yeah, never had homework. I was an honor student, and never studied. And I always figured that study halls were for a reason. If I had to study, I was going to do it there because when I went home, I either wanted to shoot baskets or do, feed cattle or whatever. So school was for school, and then when you leave there, turnkey.
Yeah. Right. You leave school at school.
Yes.
Yeah. Were you able to just instill that in your kids?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, but my wife's a very intelligent person, and our kids kind of are, naturally gifted, and school was easy for them too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but a Mount Rushmore of your favorite rock artists.
Oh,
shoot. We talked about Tom Petty before, but
do you want individual guys or bands?
Let's start with bands. How about?
Okay, so number one on the left side of Mount Rushmore would be Van Halen. Yes. Absolutely. 100%. And then we got to have Led Zeppelin on there. Oh my gosh.
Jimmy Page.
Oh man, so good.
I saw them live. Excuse me, not Jimmy Page wasn't there obviously, but it was oh man, it's slipping me. Lead singer.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Robert
Plant.
Yep.
He came down to Fargo. Oh, it was one of the best nights of my life. There was a certain haze that was over the crowd, though. Couldn't tell.
I'll bet. They probably bring a certain amount of smokers with them. But
so Van Halen, Led Zeppelin.
Yep. And then I'll tell you, I'm going grunge, but Nirvana to me was just it. I love Nirvana.
Yeah.
But Van Halen I remember when they first came out. I was like, wow, this is it. And I'd go in for lunch and I'd throw that 8-track in and have it blast. And my mom's like, I'm going to tell your father. No dancing, or whatever. But other than that, my fourth pick, that's a good one. Probably Tom Petty. I just know so much of his music, But going to Nashville even was very interesting. They love Johnny Cash in Nashville.
They sure do.
They splatter him everywhere, and man, he's like the man. There's all these great, and then there's Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And he's awesome. But as far as new performers, this Billie Eilish.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she's kind of a little bit goofy, but she's got
a voice on her.
The most beautiful voice that I've ever heard. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Greta Van Fleet?
Yes. Yep.
I bet you're a fan of them.
Yeah. Cole actually loves them too. So.
They were in Fargo last year too, and I got a chance to see them live.
So when my wife and I went to Nashville, and I see you're folding up your paper and
No, I
hail a cab, but
no, no, not at all.
2 years ago, my wife and I went to Nashville, and the first night there, we had an outdoor concert, and it's so hot and humid. But Loverboy,
Okay.
Styx, and REO Speedwagon,
What a trio.
one after another.
Oh
It was
my
so
gosh.
good.
You know, the Eagles were in Minneapolis this
I
last
love the
year,
Eagles.
and me and the future in-laws actually went to the concert. And so I
Yes.
always figured, they'd have maybe a local opener, someone you wouldn't have heard of, and little band by the name of the Doobie Brothers were opening for them. Are you kidding me? With
Wow.
Michael McDonald.
Wow.
I said, I don't know if I paid enough for this concert.
Oh, and the Eagles are one of those bands you sit there and they just keep coming with one hit after another. They've got so
They
many.
churn 'em out.
And there's like 5 different guys that can sing,
Yep.
and well, if you say Joe can sing, I don't know.
That's a stretch, I think.
yeah.
But also, any drummer that could sing, I'm just instantly,
And he's so good.
impressed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we could go for 2 more hours.
I bet
on
you could.
Music, so.
I bet you could. I know all of those bands, of course, but I'm not quite as big into the music. But he did say something that was quite interesting when you said your mom said, "I'm going to tell your father." You just don't dance.
No dancing.
Now, did you grow up Baptist, saying
No,
that you didn't
no.
dance? Because you know
No.
the joke about Baptists,
No,
right?
no.
It's why don't Baptists play cards? Because it could lead to dancing. And I can say that because I did grow up in the First Baptist Church of Medina. So
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
there were no cards and no dancing. I think at my age though they were like, okay, we realize that these things are no longer the devil. We
Right.
can we're not going to say it as a church, but we can collectively think it may not be an issue anymore. So
Were we supposed to talk about Ready at all? Or
No,
no,
Oh,
not
good.
at all.
We'll
No.
let Cole
If we
do
do-
no,
that.
this is
We'll let Cole do that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, cool.
We're
Yeah.
having fun.
What-
Yes.
what we try to do with this podcast is we lovingly name it "Welcome to My Farm," and so it's all about you. It's all about where did your farm come from? How did you start? How did you get into it? And I think that I know Matt's going to talk a lot more with Cole when he does it about the YouTube side of things, because of course that's always interesting.
Well, I
but
love that it's all about me.
it is all
Yeah.
about you.
Oh, that's my favorite subject. Yeah.
Oh, it is for everybody, right?
I love this guy. He laughs at everything I say.
Yep.
That's my job.
Yep.
I'll take the money after.
You
Cash
got any
only.
free food tickets, by the way?
Cash only.
All right.
Yeah.
Swinging back into your farm.
Yeah. Oh,
What if you could try something out on your farm? You don't have to risk this year's crop on it. You don't have to risk this year's livestock on it. You could just try it out, or you can you could simulate it. What's some kind of experiment or something that you would like to try? Maybe it's getting into some other kind of crop.
Yeah.
What would you like to try out if you didn't have to put money down on it?
if somebody wants to pull in with a strip till machine for me, I would absolutely love to give that a real good look. Placing that fertilizer right down in the root zone and not broadcasting so much, but putting it where you need it. Why are we fertilizing kochia? But that would be my number one, and we've talked about it. But the cost of a strip till machine is like, I always go back to this thing when we talk about things like that. It's like, I'm 62 years old. I'm not buying a strip till machine.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to get enough bang for my buck.
Yeah. When you're talking strip tilling, what are aside from the cost?
Whoop! There goes my free lunch ticket.
There you go. Pork sandwich.
Thank you, Bank
Yes.
West. Yeah.
When you talk about strip tilling, a big problem that we have as you get further into North Dakota is weather. We have, from the time you finish your combining,
You've got about a 12-minute window before the ground freezes.
Right, you got about a 12-minute
know.
window, and that's a big issue.
And it
Do you feel?
almost takes another guy to be running that while you're harvesting. It's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you feel like South Dakota, you're 4 hours south of us, 3.5, 4 hours south of us? Do you feel like the climate is at least a little better Or do you think that you're going to have kind of some of the same struggles if you were to really get into strip tilling?
Yeah, with the workforce that we have now, it's, last fall was doable, but it's going to be a later harvest this year. We've had a cooler summer. Some of the crops got planted later. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it done. Absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you. The strip tilling is something that just, in a lot of ways, makes a ton of sense. Why you're right. Why would you fertilize kochia?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you be fertilizing the whole field? Put it right where you need it,
Mm-hmm.
and let's do that. So, another question I like to ask guys that come on is, you have a great platform for dispelling myths amongst farmers to people that are not farmers, people that live in the city, people that just don't know anything about farming. But if you had to very directly say, what is something that if somebody came up to you and said, "Yeah, I don't really know much about farming," what's one of those myths or some of those one of those misnomers that somebody who has no idea about farming, what would you want to dispel in them? What would you want to tell them?
Well, I think for me, the biggest thing is, how ethically we treat animals.
Mm-hmm.
First off, why would we punish them in any way by not feeding them properly or giving them the right amount of water, or keeping them off the roads and putting them at risk, and Cole, even more than me. I mean, we're doing everything we possibly can to give them their best life, I guess, and we know we get it, we're profiting from it, but we're giving them a good life too.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that thinks differently, I understand some people don't want to eat beef or whatever, but that's fine. But don't accuse me of not taking care of my stock.
Right. Yeah, I think that is honestly a very common trend when I ask that question, and I think that the proof, and I've said this before, is that or one of the proofs is, when you are calving
Mm-hmm.
and you lose a calf, the sadness, I think, that goes through, not necessarily that you lost money on that deal. It's that you lost this animal,
this life
that you love. You lost this life when it, and you're doing everything you can to make them
I'm glad you
live.
brought that up, because in every I do something different every day, but I do the same thing year after year after year. And the number one thing that bothers me more than anything else I do, not an expensive breakdown or anything like that, it's losing a life on a newborn calf.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an older cow, I don't like it. I know how many dollars it is, but that calf, we do everything we can. And every Monday morning we clean the barn out. We put lime down. We put new bedding in. We're trying to keep them from getting sick. We're checking them every day, and making sure that nothing's slipping by us as far as getting pneumonia or whatever, because, there's wet ground, there's
Mm-hmm.
snow, there's stress. And, yeah, absolutely, losing a calf is my number one issue that I just, and as I get older, it bothers, I don't know if it probably doesn't bother me worse, but it sure feels like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is when we are calving up here, what time of year it is, and just how variable. We can get snowstorms in May here.
Yeah.
And so a lot of your calving is probably done by May.
Well, it is, but that's something that people don't understand. They constantly ask us, why do you calve so early? Well, there's two reasons basically.
Mm-hmm.
One is because I want to spend time with my livestock while they're calving, and if I'm planting, they're not getting the care that I'm comfortable with. The other thing is, like I said, I sell breeding stock, and they, if you're gonna sell bulls that are, a year and a half after they're born, they need to be as mature as they possibly can for them to be able to do that without having problems. So that is also why we're calving as early as we are. So
right, there's a certain size you want them to get to by
Mm-hmm.
the time you are looking to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
It's very optimum in those ways. Have you done anything, or do you have any tricks to getting your cows to calve in a closer grouping? Do you have anything that you've tried and has worked, or tried and just hasn't worked?
I think that's pretty well known amongst the good operators is that the mineral is extremely important, and also the quality of feed that they're getting too. They got to be in good shape, and they got to have their mineral, and and then obviously when they calve, they need to clean properly. You got to make sure that they don't get an infection from. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of times when a cow has twins, they don't clean like they should. So you really have to watch them closer.
Yeah. So I grew up on a dairy farm, and twins were very, very uncommon on our dairy farm. I would bet. Well, I only remember maybe a handful of twins the entire time with dairy cattle with Holsteins. My mom has since gone on, and she has beef cattle now, and she talks about twins way more often than I ever remember having twins. So. Yeah.
So it skipped a generation, and then you and your wife had twins. So I think there's some connection there. We just got to look into the
it does
DNA of that.
One question that I always ask too is, you spend a tad amount of time in the tractor, and a guy like myself enjoys a good meal. What is the best field meal that you've had before?
Anyone that's delivered to me and I can keep rolling. I'll tell you what, they can bring me some stuff that I wouldn't really even eat at home, but if it's brought to me, man, it's like the greatest thing. It can be a sliced banana that should have been thrown out a week ago. I'm devouring it.
Turning a little black.
Cole and our wives work, and so sometimes it's kind of sketchy, but we kind of look out for each other, and then we own the farm store down the road 5 miles, so Storla Station's got those Dakota Tom sandwiches, if nothing else.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I've got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
You keep saying the questions that you always ask people when you do this. Can't you come up with any new material?
Wait, what? You're cutting out.
All right, let's cut him off.
I enjoyed this,
Let's cut him off.
No, it was good.
This was
great to have you on. Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely.
I
You're
think
a natural for your first podcast.
Yeah, right?
My gosh.
Right. Yeah.
We should do the R-rated version sometime. Delete.
Yeah, lots of bleeps.
That bleep button
Lots
would
of
be going
bleeps.
like crazy.
I'll have my bleep button with me.
It's good that we record it and then we post it later. It's not live.
Yeah.
And
in closing, I am the actor that plays Sonne Farms' dad on Sonne Farms.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, it's been great to meet you. Nice to meet the real guy one time.
You guys are cool. I could talk to you all day.
Yep. Well, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thanks for listening to After Hours Ag.
I got to shake the big guy's hand. Thank
buddy.
You, sir. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.